Hi, I'm Frank Vogler with V&V Land Management and Resource Recovery out of Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm here to talk to you about Integrated Land Management, or ILM for short. Integrated Land Management has 4 simple principles, and those principles are in place really to help you achieve 4 things: to achieve project success, to do it in the shortest possible time interval, to stay within your budgetary constraints, and to avoid negative environmental impacts. This is a common sense toolkit for you. In many ways, we've internalized these 4 simple principles, but they'll help you raise the bar on land management, which is notoriously low in our area. They'll help you do this by selecting and demanding better contracting skills from your various contractors. Whether or not you live in our area or live in Zimbabwe or Nova Scotia, we don't care. We want the meeting to get out to you, and this is how we're going to do it. Okay, the foundational principle of integrated land management is this: your land comes first. The limits and attributes of your land must govern the evolution of your project. Your soils, your aspects, your hydrology, your timber. If you don't take all of these limitations and attributes into account, you're going to get in a fight with Mother Nature. This is bad news. This is what leads to mitigation. Our company does about 30% annually mitigation. That means somebody has made a mistake, somebody has to tear it out, and somebody has to redo it. We do lots of it. It sometimes empties people's bank account. It is bad news. It is the antithesis of sustainability. And so if you do nothing right, make sure that you take your land first. Maybe the most simplistic example that I can think of regarding this is house construction. You want a driveway, you want a house seat, you want to put your house here, and very often I'll get a set of plans from a contractor or from a client. They want this house on a white page here on this big steep mountainside. That is not the way it needs to go. I highly recommend that you end up with finished renditions, finished elevations of your house, how your house looks in this piece of property, on this mountainside, in it, before you begin. That visualization is absolutely imperative, and people skip this relatively inexpensive step all the time. Frank Lloyd Wright said your house should not be on the hill, it should be of the hill. And this is hugely important. Many of the mistakes that we see happen because folks have not really considered the land thoughtfully. They've basically decided they have a house plan they want to use, and they're going to put it on their lot. And they don't make the changes, the alterations necessary to make that house fit. That's the most cogent example I can give you. It's no different if you're trying to restore a pasture. If it's too steep, it may be better off left as resource land, as forest land. There are many other examples, but point is, your land comes first. You need to do a really thoughtful evaluation of your property and decide what that land wants to be, what it can be. Moving your house 5 feet one direction or the other may have a really significant impact on your future home. Moving your road, moving your wall, restoring this portion of pasture, protecting this stream area. The more you know about your property, the more likely you are to finish your project on time, within budget, and with few negative environmental impacts. So your land must come first. Number 2, education. Education as the second principle works 2 ways. What this means is that you need to know a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish. If you're building a road, putting in a retaining wall, whatever it is, you need to understand some of the basics involved, or you're not going to be able to set a protocol that you believe is appropriate. You're not going to be able to choose a contractor that you think is skilled and accountable and honest. You're not going to necessarily know. You're going to be hoping and guessing. People front load their learning. You'll learn a tremendous amount about what you're trying to do with just a little bit of work, and it's going to pay you back in real dollars and in real time. Having said that, education works in a different way as well. It means that as your service provider, your contractor, us, we need to know about the totality of your project. We need to understand the full scope of your project. What we often see is that there are multiple subcontractors plugged in over a long period of time. And even if they're good subcontractors, they have a really poor interface. They don't line up together. There are weather gaps between their scheduling. They don't necessarily know what the totality of the project involves. So education means that each of your subcontractors, your main contractor, there's a cohesive understanding, an educated understanding of what your project entails. This is the only way to ensure a successful outcome. The third principle of ILM is planning. Planning is where you need to make your mistakes, not when boots and tracks hit the ground. Planning is tantamount to good visualization, and most people underplan. They have desires, they want to get on with it. Permits, regulations, those kinds of things are hoops they have to jump through to accomplish their goals. In most cases, we want our clients to take a lot more time to plan. We want them to avail themselves of modern planning tools like digital mapping, aerial photography, good engineering. In many cases, these things are required, and they seem like they're going to be expensive and that they don't yield material results. They do. And good planning always saves money, always mitigates negative environmental impacts, always speeds up your process. And good planning always creates visualization. If you can't visualize your project, you're just hoping that your service providers can. I've stood around at the back of a pickup truck on many occasions and seen many people nodding their head, yes, yes, we understand how this is supposed to go. Oh, we've got an idea of this. And we came to find out later that actually no one really understood what was being talked about. No one wanted to ask the stupid question. Planning is where you ask the stupid question. And we just finished a mile-long road here. The planning for this road took 8 years. It's a very difficult, complex road involving multiple property owners. It went really, really well. It's an excellent road. Would it have gone well without all of that planning? Absolutely not. But in fact, I will say this, because of all that planning, the road was almost a letdown in terms of suspense. It just went with absolute smoothness. I got to figure out what to do with all that stress accumulated through the planning phase. Anyway, that really should be your reaction. You want to overplan. You want to be able to visualize. That's what planning is about. Okay, we're on to consolidation, the fourth principle of ILM. Now, consolidation is where boots and tracks hit the ground. You've thought hard about your property. You've spent time on it. You've educated yourself about what you're trying to do. Your contractor understands your project. You've planned. You've made your mistakes in that phase, and you visualize. This is where things have to happen, and they need to happen with a fair amount of speed. Weather exposure costs people millions of dollars. You need to have a company that's willing to go after it. You need to put the correct equipment and the correctly trained men on the ground. For us, it means using as few pieces of equipment and as few men as possible to accomplish as many of the goals as we can with as few stagings as possible. It means there is always a qualified site superintendent on site. It means that we invoice every day. One thing that we believe in is in daily accounting. If our clients have a long wish list as well as a needs list, daily accounting allows them to accomplish some of that. They may get to the end of their project and have some money left over. They can see exactly what happens on a daily basis. Consolidation just means that you have a team that's in the game, that is focused. We don't switch crews off of jobs. Your contractor shouldn't either. They shouldn't leave your job site and come back. That's not how projects are completed successfully. And so you need to have that team focused. You need to be there on site. You need to work from beginning to end. That's what consolidation is about. In conclusion, what I want to say about integrated land management is this. It's a tool set for you. It's a way to ensure that your project is completed successfully, and that's obvious, but that it's completed within your budgetary constraints, it's completed in the shortest possible time interval, and that you have as few negative environmental impacts as possible. Feel free to give us a call, email us, let us know what you think. We're out there. If you don't live in our area, no big deal. We get hundreds of emails and questions every year. We're happy to take more. Good luck on your projects.